Today's topic is on early childhood education. Under this, we'll discuss on the early childhood periods, the needs of early childhood education, aims and objectives of early childhood education. So before we proceed to the early childhood education, let's have a review of early childhood periods. We all know that the childhood begins when the dependency of babyhood is over at approximately the age of 2 years and extended to the time when the child becomes sexually mature, that is by about 12 years or 13 years. So this period is again divided into two sub-periods, that is the early childhood period and the late childhood period. So early childhood period, it covers from 2 years to 6 years, and late childhood period, it covers from 6 years to 12 years. So as we will be discussing on the early childhood periods, let's have a view of this early childhood period. That is, so it begins from 2 years to 6 years. That means that it begins at the end of babyhood to the time when the child enters the first grade in school. So the entry of first grade in school, it typically marks the end of early childhood period, and this period is where the dependency is being replaced by growing independence, where the child will expand to include friends, schoolmates and others in the community. So this period is considered as the most significant and critical period in the life of an individual. Why? Because significant changes occur in the child in all the areas of development, namely physical, social, mental or intellectual, emotional and language development. The rate of development is also very high during this period than at any other stages of development, and it is at this period that the foundation for life are laid for lifelong learning and human development. Scientifically, it is known that the human brain controls development in all the areas of development, and the rate of brain growth is the fastest in the first 2 years of life. So research on brain development has also shown that while we have all the cells that our brain will ever have at the time of birth, the synaptic connections between these brain cells, it forms very rapidly during the first 2 years of life. And there is scientific evidence that the more the synaptic connection, the better the functioning of the individuals. Why it has been said so? Because the human brain has 100 to 200 billion nerve cells or neurons, which store, these nerve cells, it store and transmit information. So unlike the body cells, the nerve cells, they are not tightly packed together. Between them are the synapses. Then what is synapses? Synapses are the tiny gaps where fibers from different nerve cells, they come together but do not touch. So as the brain cells or the nerve cells, they form connections, a stimulation becomes vital to their survival. So the nerve cells that are stimulated by inputs from the surrounding environment continue to establish synapses, forming increasingly elaborate system of communication that supports more complex abilities. Like for example, when a child plays a board game, it requires integration of many aspects of thinking like perception, attention, memory, language and problem solving. So appropriate stimulation to support the child's brain potential is absolutely necessary during the period in which the formation of synapses it is at its highest peak, and that happens to be during the early childhood years. So the more the synaptic connections, the better the functioning of the individual. Research has also shown that if a child does not get a stimulating and enriching environment, the chances of the child's brain development to its full potential is considerably reduced. So the first 6 years of life is also considered as the most critical or sensitive for various areas of development. So when we say critical, it means a time period during which development in a specific area is particularly sensitive to favorable and unfavorable experiences. So The favorable experiences, it can foster and enhance development, whereas the unfavorable experiences, it can hinder development to a considerable extent. The impact of unfavorable experiences, it can be irreversible at times, even if positive experiences occur at a later periods. So what are the favorable and the unfavorable experiences? The favorable experiences are the provision of a stimulating and enriching environment, adequate food, healthy living conditions, proper health care, love and nurturance, compassion, and so forth. And just the opposite of all these are the unfavorable experiences. So early childhood period have therefore been called the critical period in development. So what happens or fails to have happened at this time has a distinct effect on the later course of development to the child. So when we look into the characteristic of early childhood periods, the characteristic of early childhood period are reflected in the names that the parents, the educators, and the psychologists commonly use. So name used by the parents are like troublesome age, it is the problem age, it is the toy age. Whereas name used by the educators, like it is a preschool age, it is a pre-primary age, and name used by the psychologists as the exploratory age, the questioning age, the pre-gang age, the initiative age, the imitative age, the creativity age. So considering all the above factors, early childhood education or preschool education is considered to be a crucial intervention for providing a stimulating and nurturing environment to the child to ensure a sound foundation for lifelong learning and development. So under the guidance of trained teachers, the optimum growth, development, and learning on the part of the child, it can be expected. So going to the theoretical foundation of early childhood educations, we all know that the Western thinkers like Roggio, Froebel, John Dewey, and Maria Montessori have been pioneer in the movement of early childhood education, and Indian thinkers like Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, Aurobindo Ghosh, Tarabai Modak, Gijubai were the first Indians to conceptualize a child-centered approach to the care and education of young children. So what is preschool education? So preschool education is a program with planned educational experiences aimed at enhancing the development of early childhood years, that is 2 to 6 years, where the education focuses on guiding children to learn through playway methods. And it is at this time that the play blossoms during this time and support every aspect of development. Or in short, we can say that preschool education are the learning experiences that are provided to the early childhood years. So when we comes to the needs of the early childhood education, why we require early childhood education? Number first point is the needs of the child in all the areas of development increase during the preschool years. That is the home and the best of family environment, it becomes inadequate to meet these needs. The school, through its various planned programs, met these needs. The second point is early childhood years are the foundation for later personality development, and individual habits and individual attitudes and individual trust in people and the world, his interests, they are all molded by his early childhood experiences. Rich and enriching experiences are best given through the early childhood education. So the qualities inculcated during the childhood, it shapes the entire personality. The third needs for early childhood education is a child needs group experiences so that he learns to be an effective member of his social group that could be provided in a preschool setting. The fourth point is a child attending a preschool gets initiated very early into the regular habits of attending school and may not have adjustment problems when the child enters the primary schools. The child does not find it difficult to learn the 3 R's, that is the reading, writing, and arithmetic, as they are prepared through the various readiness activities of preschool education like reading, listening to stories, learning rhymes, drawing, cutting, pasting, so and so forth. So they are prepared to read, write and do simple arithmetic. The children, they are also equipped with concepts necessary for formal school learning. The 5th point is it has become a social necessity for the working mothers as well as housewives. The 6th point is it brings about social equality by providing opportunities for interaction between children of different castes and classes. Number 7, children from the underprivileged section are particularly deprived of a stimulating environment which is likely to have adverse effect on the child development, particularly the intellectual and the language development. So early childhood period is very important in this context as it provides children with stimulating experiences for all areas of development. So early childhood education program, it can compensate for the deprivation at the home front and help the child build a strong foundation which would later facilitate the development of his or her full potential. Number 8 is a part of the nutritional needs of children. It can be satisfied to some extent through the meals provided in the schools. So let's see on aims and objectives. So the aim of preschool is to facilitate optimum development of the child's full potential and lay the foundation for all-round development and lifelong learnings. So coming to the objectives. So what are the objectives? Number 1, to enable a sound foundation for physical and motor development of each child as per child's potential. Second point is to ensure each child is valued, each child is respected, each child is feels safe and secure and develops a positive self-concept. Number 3rd point is to imbibe good nutrition routines, health habits, hygiene practices and self-help skills. The 4th point is to enable the children for effective communication and foster both respectful and expressive language. The 5th point is to promote development and integration of the senses. Number 6 is to stimulate intellectual curiosity and develop conceptual understanding of the world around by providing to explore, investigate and experiment. And the 7th point is to enhance development of pro-social skills, social competence and emotional well-being. 8. To develop sense of aesthetic appreciation and stimulate creative learning processes. Number 9, to imbibe culturally and developmentally appropriate behavior and core human values of respect and love for fellow human beings. Number 10, to enable a smooth transition from home to preschool center to formal schooling. Number 11, to enhance scope of overall personality development. So, preschool education most contribution is to make children feel that school is fun, learning is satisfying and that they are competent. The child grows as a whole person. Deprivation in any one aspect of development, it influences other development. The quality of stimulation and nurturing that a child receives in the first few years of life, it can affect on development that lasts a lifetime. So early childhood education has the possibility to nurture caring, capable and responsible citizen, and it is one of the best investment to promote human resource development, gender equality and social cohesion, and to reduce the cost for the latter remedial programs.